Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a horror fantasy film, The Mermaid, The Lake of the Dead. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with a little girl narrating the mermaid waiting in the lake to find its new victim. Once she shares her feelings, it's either she's going to take the victim who accepted her love, or she's going to make the victim's life miserable if rejected by separating the victim from his loved ones. However, the mermaid never releases any of her victims because the victims themselves have perished in the bottom. 20 years ago, the father stood in the lake's dock with bloodshot eyes, waiting for the mermaid's moment to capture him. However, the mother saved him by offering herself to the mermaid for the father's freedom. Then the mother fell into the lake. Black hands from underneath dragged her further below. 20 years later, Roma tries to teach Marina, his fiancée, to swim, but she fails because of her fear of the water. Just then, their swimming lesson is interrupted by a teammate who cannonballs on the pool. Afterward, he shares the plan to celebrate a bachelor's party with Roma in a summer house near the lake. Then they try to race 2 laps in the pool, while Marina practices swimming by herself. However, Marina almost drowns. Luckily, Roma arrives to save her. It's late at night in the apartment, and Marina is still mad at Roma for almost letting her drown. Afterward, the teammate drives Roma to his summer house gifted by the father. The 2 teammates arrive in the summer house, finding it old and abandoned. They revive the electricity and see the basement flooded with water upon entering. Roma then shares that his mother died from drowning in the lake with a teammate. Roma is surprised when the teammate invites more guests, including exotic dancers. This causes Roma to walk out, stroll to the dock, and call Marina. However, Marina is busy, so he ends the call, undresses, and dives into the lake to calm himself. Meanwhile, Marina gives a haircut to Roma's older sister, who chats about how the mother used to tell fortunes by looking into 2 mirrors opposite each other to see if they can see Mr. Right. Before leaving, Marina gives a Ziploc bag containing the cut-off hair of the older sister, for the older sister believes that there's magic in hair. She then comforts Marina that she and her little brother, Roma, will reconcile soon. Afterward, Marina tries the mirror trick, but ends up seeing nothing. She then goes to the kitchen to wash an apple, but the faucet is broken. Water from the drain uprises, causing the bubbling and flooding in the sink. So she tries fixing it, leading to missing the phone call from Roma. On the other hand, Roma returns to the docks, stumbling upon the mermaid standing and waiting for him. The sexy mermaid runs the wooden comb on her wet hair, and Roma approaches her. Once they're close to one another, they share a smelly kiss. She then asks, "Do you love me?" After they break apart, she then smiles to show off her sharp teeth. At dawn, Roma's bachelors find him unconscious near the lake. He mentions seeing the sexy mermaid when he wakes up, but no one believes him. The teammate recollects Roma's clothes and belongings, including the mermaid's wooden comb. They go home momentarily. Afterward, Roma surprises Marina in the morning with beautiful flowers. After smelling the flowers, she gathers Roma's clothes from last night to wash them. She then finds the wooden comb amongst the clothes. Later on, Roma trains in the gymnasium pool. However, he's not feeling well, so his performance is far from great. The coach reminds Roma to be at his best for tomorrow's qualification competition. After the training, Roma showers in the gymnasium's pool bathroom, but the mermaid keeps messing with the water by shutting down the water flow. The mermaid then appears from nowhere and even disturbs his locker by opening and shutting it close by itself. At night, Roma is at home on the bed, shivering under the warm layers of blankets. He has a fever, and Marina prepares a warm tea to soothe his sickness. However, Roma feels her tickling his foot soles when he suddenly sits upright to see no one's there, and Marina has just walked inside. Marina helps Roma drink his tea, then covers him again in blankets where she can feel a high fever radiating off him. Roma returns to sleep, mumbling, "I don't love you," about the mermaid's question. However, Marina thinks it's for hers. Such then, Marina video calls the older sister, showing off the wooden comb among Roma's laundry. Their call ends afterward, and the older sister discovers the wooden comb included in one of the old photographs of their parents. Later, Roma comforts Marina after she suffers from a nightmare. Marina dreamed about seeing the mermaid caressing Roma in the showers, but when she's about to confront them, they disappear. She approaches the bathtub, but the mermaid's hand grabs her head and drowns her. Later, Roma is competing in the qualification round the following day, but something peculiar happens. He disappears from the gymnasium pool and is suddenly underwater in the lake. The moment he resurfaces onto the docks, the sexy but nasty mermaid is on top of him, asking if he loves her while caressing his face. Roma answers no, and the mermaid gapes her mouth, revealing a horrifying face. Roma wakes up after being resurrected to life from drowning by the staff. Afterward, Roma is confined in the hospital after the incident, and Marina and the older sister are waiting for him to wake up. Roma finally shares with everyone the truth on the docks. Marina walks out after learning that another woman kissed Roma. Despite his illness, Roma pursues Marina in the halls. He then stumbles into a room to see Marina's silhouette behind a curtain. Roma removes the curtain, but no one is there. The floor becomes wet, and suddenly, Marina appears near the sink. But when he turns to the doorway, the real Marina stands. The door closes by itself, locking Roma inside with the mermaid, who attacks him after cornering him in the room. Marina, the older sister, and the teammate manage to break open the door, and they see Roma unconscious and wrapped around by a curtain. So, they discharge Roma from the hospital to return home, knowing it's not safe for him to be alone. Before going home, they visit the father, who's busy sketching the mermaid. The older sister confronts the father about the same mermaid tormenting Roma and the mother's death. Then, Marina shows the wooden comb to the father. The father dismisses all the questions and instead chooses to be left alone. Out of the blue, Roma appears to see the father. The father immediately goes frantic upon seeing him and discourages Roma from talking to the mermaid. It turns out the father met the mermaid in the lake too, and since then, she has made his life miserable. The mother found a way to defeat the mermaid, but it failed, so the mother sacrificed herself for the sake of the father's life. He lost everything, but not the mermaid, who continuously appears everywhere he goes. Everyone learns the mother found something under the lake, so Marina determinedly grabs the wooden comb and tells everyone to head into the summer house. Upon their arrival in the summer house in the evening, the older sister reminisces about the memorable past they had in the place. Meanwhile, the teammate grabs his goggles from the car truck and comforts Marina to get over Roma's sin of tongue massaging another woman. The following day, the teammate dives underwater, where he discovers a sunken tombstone with an engraved name, Lisa Grigorieva. Dead bodies suddenly crowd the teammate, so he immediately resurfaces after they appear. But as he rushes to swim into the rowboat, black hands try to sink him. After successfully resisting the black hands, the teammate swims to the boat. The older sister then pulls the rowboat's attached rope into the dock. The teammate safely arrives at the docks and away from the black hands. Meanwhile, Marina enters inside the cabin beside the summer house. As she walks, creaking floorboards erupt. Melted candles fill the walls and ground. An old mirror stands in the corner, and in front is a water basin. She's about to leave when the mermaid suddenly appears in front of the mirror, kneeling and repeatedly reciting, "Take what's yours, give me the loved one," until it gets louder and louder. The mermaid quickly turns to Marina after her recitation, wraps her arms around Marina, and screams in her ears. Marina bolts outside the cabin and heads into the summer house. She sees Roma sitting on a chair looking pale, with sunken eyes from all the exhaustion of dealing against the mermaid's torment. Roma's health gets worse, and the older sister examines the engraved initials in the wooden comb, which is the name in the sunken tombstone, Lisa Grigorieva. It turns out the mermaid is none other than Lisa, who died from suicide. And to support this claim, suicide victims are not buried in the cemetery, but instead on the shore. The tombstone is only underneath the lake because the broken dam caused the flooding, which created the lake. The older sister comments they shouldn't have taken the wooden comb because it symbolizes the importance of the mermaid's hair. So to end the mermaid's sexy stalking, they have to return the wooden comb back. Later, Marina visits Roma on the bed, and when she touches it, Roma suddenly speaks from the corner of the room, saying no one's under the sheets. Marina is IY when she removes the blanket off the bed, and the blanket suddenly attacks her by enclosing her inside. Everyone rushes to the bedroom and successfully pulls the moving blanket off Marina. That night, Marina faces the mermaid in the cabin through the mother's ritual in the mirror, trying to return the wooden comb to the mermaid. She lightens the candles, cleans the mirror in the corner, holds the wooden comb, and faces the mirror. Then she says, "Lisa Grigorieva, take what's yours, give me the loved one." At the same time, the teammate is on guard outside the cabin, but unfortunately, the mermaid successfully charms him and taunt massages him. The teammate stares blankly at space, and a teardrop is shed on his eye, while the mermaid asks if he loves her. The teammate, who's under the mermaid's hormone charm, answers, "I do." Meanwhile, the older sister stops Roma from opening the barricaded basement door. However, Roma is not himself anymore, because his eyes are bloodshot, just like the father 20 years ago, and he begins to strangle his older sister. On the other hand, Marina is still busy summoning the mermaid. She places the wooden comb in the water basin and looks into two mirrors opposite each other. She then repeats the line, "Lisa Grigorieva, take what's yours, give me the loved one." She glances behind, seeing the wooden comb disappear, and in the mirror, the mermaid's reflection appears and materializes, grabs Marina's head, and submerges her head into the water basin. Right then, Marina learns the truth and the past of the mermaid. It turns out the mermaid's fiancé cheated on her, so she killed her fiancé and his new bride before committing suicide. After the revelation, Roma returns to his original self and searches for Marina in the cabin. Under the mermaid's charm, the teammate only stands still outside the place, but Roma doesn't mind him and proceeds to break open the cabin door. Upon entering, he sees numerous bodies of Marina surrounding him, asking on repeat, "Do you love me?" However, despite the mermaid's aim to confuse Roma, Roma approaches another Marina at the back of the room. He comes to her with certainty and says, "I love you," and a kiss. Because of that, the mermaid screams from the mirror, and the sub-tombstone gets destroyed. However, when they're about to leave the summer house after the assumed victory, the hormone-rich teammate oddly goes to the basement, saying on repeat, "I do love you." Roma searches for the teammate and finds him floating in the basement flood. When Roma tries saving him, the mermaid already submerges the teammate, saying, "I'll take everyone you love." The fight against the evil mermaid is still unfinished. The three escape with the car, but it dies in the middle of the forest. Roma checks the car's engine on the hood, but from afar, the mermaid awaits her next attack. Marina and the older sister warn Roma, but he doesn't hear them. The car's doors lock by themselves, and water starts flooding the inside. Roma's reflex leads him to break the window of cars with a large rock. He then decides to offer himself to the mermaid to end the suffering, because it's apparent that the ritual for returning the wooden comb is indeed wrong. The mermaid sees Roma at the docks and strangles him in the air. In desperation to end the torment and agony, the older sister offers the tied-up Marina to the mermaid in exchange for her brother's freedom in the basement. Unexpectedly, the father arrives in the basement to offer himself instead, since he loves the mermaid dearly, unlike Marina, who's forced to be presented as the sacrificial offer. The mermaid's about to take the father when the older sister suddenly grabs the mermaid's hair, and Marina, quick to her feet, grabs a pair of scissors and cuts off a strand of the mermaid's hair. The mermaid screams in pain, but she still successfully takes the father. Afterward, the mermaid returns immediately and drowns the annoying older sister to death. The movie ends with Marina finally realizing the method to kill a mermaid. She finds Roma lying unconscious on the docks, and she tells him to cut off the mermaid's hair. Afterward, Marina jumps into the lake, wrestles against the mermaid, and manages to cut some of her hair. Just then, Roma wakes up and sees Marina climbing onto the dock. They hug for their final victory when suddenly Marina says, "You love me." However, Roma's smart to know the trick, so he grabs the scissors on the docks brought by the mermaid, holds her hair, and cuts her hair short. The mermaid screams in agony and dies as she falls into the water, where the creatures with black hands underwater feast on her. After defeating the mermaid, Roma successfully saves himself and Marina from further death. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.